As the police officers and emergency crew moved in and out of the mall, the small crowd that had gathered provided the perfect cover for the two teenagers who watched the scene with a grim expression.
Kane is dead.
Yeah, I can see that, Fu.
Fu and Payne gave the scene one critical look of disappointment before they turned around and moved away from the crowd. The two girls moved into one of the nearby alleyways and continued walking.
The souls that Kane gathered, are they?
Released, yes. Our plan has failed.
God damn it!
Payne yelled, kicking a trash can in her fury. Fu merely turned her head and gave Payne a look of annoyance.
Save your melodrama. We need to inform Cypher.
For someone who wants to avoid melodrama, you're sure running into this head first. You know how Cypher will react when he hears this.
Yes, I do. And it's because I know we don't need to add more into the pile. We need to be strong for Cypher.
Fu made a few brisk steps when she stopped at a noise. It was a chuckle. She turned around again and was met with Payne smirking at her.
And does our fearless leader thank you for your undying loyalty?
And what do you mean by that?
Oh, so that's a no then. Well, Cypher may be a visionary, but I guess he looks so far in the future he can't see what exactly is in front of him.
Your deductions on this perceived relationship Cypher and I have is not only pointless, but unimportant.
Payne's smirk suddenly vanished.
I actually think you're quite wrong, Fu. What we're about to do, relationships and things like that are anything but unimportant.
I fail to see the point in that.
What Cypher is about to do, if we know him well enough, it will require for him to do something that he hates. If he has something to remind him why he's doing all this, perhaps we can stop him from going too far down that dark and twisty path.
Oh, really? Did Rai save you from...
Fu suddenly leaned her head back as a dagger shot out from Payne's hand and clattered against the wall across from her.
Don't bring up Rai.
I don't need to. I made my point.
Continued her walk forward, and Payne gave a sigh as she picked up her throwing knife.
We really are a bunch of broken, mismatched freaks, aren't we?
She slipped the dagger away and her hands brushed against something. She pulled it out and found that it was a picture. Probably fell out of her wallet, of her and a 15-year-old Sora. She remembered that day he wanted to learn how to throw knives. They were just returning from practicing when this photo was taken.
You really are the best of us, Sora. No one in our group has had much of an effect on us as you. Maybe that's what Cypher sees in you, Sora. Maybe that's what we all see in you. How you just pull us in, and we just orbit around you and everything you do.
She put the photo away and turned her head to the night sky.
Where are you, Sora? Don't you leave us. Not when we really need you.
Come on. Pick up.
Roxanne Shimomura paced back and forth in the kitchen, dialing the phone of her cell phone for the 17th time. She had come home late that night, was dead tired, and frankly, her mind was reeling of what she saw. She went to check on her son and found his bed empty. With everything that happened that night, she had begun to fly into a panic. 2 in the morning and her son wasn't home. With everything she knew, she began to fear the knowledge she was trying to deny.
Hey, this is Sora. I'm not available, so you know what to do.
God damn it.
Roxanne hung up and dialed again.
Pick up. Pick up. Pick up!
Roxanne spun on her heels. Hanging up her phone, she rushed to the front door and found her son inside. Closing the door, he saw his mother and the boy went tense.
Mom.
Where were you?
I was... I was...
Where were you, Sora?
He still didn't respond. All he did was stare at her with this blank look on his face. Unfortunately, his mom was getting impatient, as well as angry by his lack of response.
Damn it, Sora! Answer!
She didn't get to finish her sentence when he ran up and hugged her.
I'm sorry. I am so sorry.
He choked in the tone that made her worry. Something was wrong.
Are you okay?
She asked, pulling him away to see his face. The rims of his eyes were red. Had he been crying?
I don't know.
He answered and went back to hug her. To be truthful, Sora really didn't know. A part of him was devastated about his fate, and yet another part of him was feeling something else. A moment of clarity. He felt as if his eyes were now truly open. He saw the darkness he created and put into the world, but he also saw the light he had been putting in as Ghost Rider. It left a bittersweet feeling inside him as he embraced his mother. He knew he would be punished for being out late, but it didn't change what he felt at that moment in his mother's arms. For the first time in his life, he felt safe, he felt warm, and he felt loved at last. When he arrived at school today, he saw the usual looks people gave him. Fear and hate. It bore into him and left him feeling guilty. Did he really cause so much pain? How could he have been so blind to this? Of course he already knew the answer. He was so dedicated, so narrow-minded, fueled by Cypher's words of encouragement. He went down the path of being a terror to everyone, which made a thought cross his mind. The rest of the gang spoke of Cypher having great integrity. Why would he allow him to become such a menace? By the time he approached his locker, the hallways were mostly empty. He spun his combination to open the door and pulled out his books for class. When he shut his locker, he was surprised to see he had a visitor.
Cypher, you didn't show up last night. What happened?
Something came up. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry too, Sora. We're already moving ahead with our plan, and
No. Get it, it's fine. Just don't worry about it.
Cypher didn't say any more words. He began to turn and walk off when Sora decided to ask the question burning through his mind.
Cypher, wait.
Cypher stopped and turned to Sora, who was surprised to see him so nervous.
2 years ago, when I met you, you told me that I could find a way to get back at the people who hurt me.
Yeah, I did. Why do you bring that up?
Well, why did you tell me that? I mean, I never questioned it, but it's so unlike you. Everything I ever heard about you. Why would you tell me to go out of my way and, I don't know, be a bully?
I didn't.
What? No. Wait, Wait, you told me that I could make them feel my pain and sorrow. You told me I could get back at them for what they did to me.
I did, but I didn't say you needed to bully them.
Cypher paused at the anger growing on Sora's face. He walked back to him.
I said you needed to make them understand how you felt. That is what I said. The bullying, the pranking, the humiliation. That was all you.
What? Why the hell didn't you stop me?
Because that would defeat the purpose.
The purpose of what?
To test your conviction.
Sora stopped dead in his tracks. His eyes widened briefly before narrowing in anger.
What?
Sora, I've seen people say they'll do something, but they'll back out of it, or find out they lack the talent to do something that they say they would. Yet when I saw you on that day, I saw potential. Real potential. Could have been a force to have been reckoned with. Just the person I needed for my project. I just needed to give you a little nudge in the right direction. And it worked. Within 2 years, you showed me your will, your dedication, and your ingenuity.
Are you telling me you let me terrorize and bully all those people just to test me?
And you passed.
Sora gave a roar of rage, grabbing Cypher and slamming him against the lockers.
You son of a... How could you let me become this way? Everything I did to... All those horrible things I did to them! How could you let me do this? How could you make me a monster?
Cypher grabbed Sora's arms and pushed him away from him. The angry teenager wanted to charge again, but Cypher's words stopped him cold.
I couldn't stop you because you were having too much fun with it!
Sora knew he was right. It was the hardest part of it all, knowing that regardless of who set him on his way, he kept going because he liked it. He liked the power and feeling of making someone suffer as he did. Cypher had straightened his coat as Sora was trying to fight back the rush of guilt that went through him.
One day you'll understand everything, Sora. Nothing you did was in vain.
No. No more. I am done with this. My payback ends here. You and I, us and the gang, we're through.
Cypher cast a sideways glance.
For now.
Sora stood resolute in his decision as Cypher walked away. He knew he just cast aside the only set of friends he had for 2 years. But learning you're hellbound for all you have done gives you a large perspective on things. He was a child when he came to Cypher for assurance and security. Now he's outgrown them. The lunchroom was filled with a chatter far more louder and far more rambunctious than usual. Mostly because everyone who owned a computer or had access to the internet knew everything about last night. So everyone and their friend were all swarming Kyrie's table demanding for answers. This lasted for a while until the staff actually had to threaten detention if they don't sit down and be quiet. This worked. It also allowed Aerith and Cloud to sneak to the table.
Kyrie, what is going on? Why are all these people hounding you?
Aerith received many funny looks from Kyrie and her friends, T just being the one to speak.
You don't know?
Don't know what?
Seriously?
Yuffie chirped, turning to Cloud.
Please tell me you saw it.
I did get some posts on Facebook this morning from my friends. Something about monsters.
Yuffie's grin widened.
Huh. Have we got a story for you two?
Within minutes, Yuffie had given Aerith and Cloud the story of what they did last night. At 1 or 2 times, she corrected certain parts, with the addition of not some evil skeletal bikers, but a whole army. There was also a motorcycle chase scene, despite the fact they didn't even witness said scene. Also, everyone was reluctant to confirm whether or not Yuffie had a pistol during the fight, and was yelling, "Come and get it!" Of course, the story was eventually confirmed the moment the two of them checked the web with their phones. Even with it, the news was still hard to believe.
I don't suppose publicity stunt is out of the question.
What would it be a publicity stunt for?
I don't know. Don't do drugs?
Actually, that sounds like a really good idea, but we're pretty sure it's not.
So all you went to Hell's Highway last night, the most dangerous part of the city, might I add, at the risk of being mugged and murdered? And not only nearly had that happen, but somehow stepped into the scene of a horror flick? Do I have all that right?
The group exchanged some awkward glances as Cloud sighed.
Wow. Just... wow. Only you guys could go looking for trouble and actually get into more trouble than it was worth. That is seriously something.
What is he called?
Aerith asked, scrolling through her phone.
I keep getting reports like Undead Biker and Supernatural Stuntman. Does he even have a name?
Ghost Rider.
Kyrie had beat Yuffie to the answer, leaving the latter rather miffed.
He's called the Ghost Rider.
Aerith had stopped mid-scroll on her phone. She recognized that name. It was from the article Sora was looking at in the library yesterday, from the National Cult Research Community. She turned to her phone and typed the name real quick just to double-check, and sure enough, the NCRC was on top of the selections in her search query. At this point, she wasn't quite sure what to do. Should she mention it?
Sora.
Aerith nearly jumped out of her seat. How could Kyrie find out she was thinking about him? But then she realized they were looking behind her. When she turned, sure enough, there was Sora. He seemed to be rooted on the spot, and he just stared at the eyes as he realized he was the one who put all that hate in them.
What do you want, Sora?
Sora still didn't say anything. He didn't even move from his spot.
Look, whatever you're going to do, just get it over with, all right? Then we can go back to our lives, and you can go back to whatever hole you...
I'm sorry.
The reactions were tremendous enough that one would think it was a chemical reaction. T just dropped his fork. Waka froze mid-bite. Naminé stopped drawing and moved her front eyes up to Sora. Yuffie's jaw dropped and Kairi was, well, speechless.
What did you say?
Well, not entirely speechless.
I'm sorry.
He opened his mouth to say something else, but the power of speech seemed to fail him because he couldn't make a single sound. So he lowered his head in shame and walked past them, not even uttering a word or even a grunt. The group watched him leave and remain in silence for, about a full minute and a half.
What was that?
To hell with the undead biker. That was the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. What's he up to?
Aerith, however, was watching Sora with great interest as he went over, not to Cypher and his friends. Out of the corner of her eye, she could see Tifa as she called out to Sora.
Sora, over here!
Sora looked at her and the gang sitting at the table, before he turned away from them and walked over to his little lonely table. Tifa seemed rather surprised.
Sora, what are you... We're over here!
Leave him, Tifa.
Leave him? Why?
Tifa looked at Cypher, noticing his expression suddenly became critical.
What happened? Cypher, what happened?
Nothing happened, Tifa.
Don't you nothing happen, Tifa me. What happened?
Tifa! Now's one of those times where you don't ask what we do.
Now's the time. No. This is stupid. Zora's our friend. We can't just let him walk away.
He won't.
Tifa stood up from her table.
Glad you're so sure, Cypher. It seems to me that you're the only one who is.
As Tifa marched off from the table, Aerith watched this scene with great interest, before turning her head to the table where Sora was as a light smile graced her lips.
I think this year is going to be an interesting one.
Darkness had soon set upon the city, and in that darkness there were many events occurring, giving their predictions on the events yet to come. While both are equally important, we will turn our gaze to a cloud of darkness that is beginning to form. Fu, Rai, and Pain all stood in the back of the room as Cypher was knelt over in front of a purple light that gave a dark edge to the room.
Kane has. He's failed to get the souls. The writer must have freed the others after he dealt with Kane. We don't have enough time to create the spell. We failed.
Silence fell over the group. Fu, despite her cold exterior, was very nervous and was fighting the urge to run over and pull him away from it.
Yes, I know.
Cypher's eyes widened. He lifted his head to the light in surprise.
You. What?
Oh, I knew you would fail, Cypher. I never expected Kane to succeed.
But wait! Why did you...
Son Kane, there is a lesson I'm trying to drill in your human skull, Cypher. Care to take a guess? Ooh, time's up. Oh, pal, don't worry. I'll tell you. It's rather simple. If you want something done, you have to do it yourself. When we first met, I offered you power beyond belief. You took some of it, alright, but you didn't take all of it. You know what that says to me? You didn't want to commit yourself to the cause. Well, sadly for you, well, for all of you really, you just can't get a job done by sending other people. As I said to you before, Cypher, you want something? You gotta take it yourself.
You took a risk of losing a way out just to test me!
And you passed. Oh, and as for the whole seal thing, don't worry. There are thousands of ways for my seal to come undone. Spells have evolved over the years, and these locks are very, very old. And getting frail with every passing year. Of course, there was also another reason.
And that would be?
I needed to see what this Ghost Rider can do. It's really typical of Mephisto. No matter how many times he's been backstabbed, he always goes for a rider to solve his problems. You've all gotten a good look at your enemy, and you know what he can do. Surely you all must realize the folly of sending other people now. You are prepared to face him. So, Cypher, I will ask you again. Will all of you receive my full power?
Cypher turned back to the others, who all gave him a nod of reassurance. He turned back to the ominous purple light before him.
Bring it on!
In that dark night, in the safety of home and comfort, Namine Nomura knocked on her sister's bedroom door and stepped in. Kairi, who was so absorbed into whatever she was reading on her computer, didn't even hear the knock, much less the door opening. Namine had to knock again to get her attention.
Huh? What? What is it?
Kairi, Dad's calling for dinner.
Kairi, who was seemingly absorbed into something on her computer screen, gave a semi-distracted nod.
All right, I'm on my way down.
Namine paused for a moment and turned to leave when she hesitated. She turned back to her sister.
Kairi, what did you think of him?
Him? Him who?
The ghostwriter. You saw him up close. What did you think of him?
Kairi paused at that question. She was asked a lot of things when the police arrived, determining whether or not the ghostwriter was a threat or a hero. She thought back to that moment, when he refused her help and left the mall. He had no eyes, but in those eyes she thought she could catch the glimpse of an emotion.
I think he was sad. He seemed so... Even though he destroyed that creature, it didn't look like it was a victory. He just seemed so... alone. Like there was something so bottled up inside him, but he couldn't tell anyone.
And what does that make you feel around him?
Kairi once again struggled for words that would express her jumbled train of thought when it came to Ghost Rider. Finally, her brain landed on a word. One single word that said everything when her jumbled brain fell to place.
Safe.
In the darkness of the night, on the other side of the city, something else was beginning. Born from the darkness but brings about a strong light with him. Sora Shimomura sat across from Vincent Valentine, who was now beginning to soak in the information he was being told.
I knew it couldn't have been good news, but still, I never expected.
I know.
Vincent,
I know. It's fine.
In honesty, nothing was fine. Even Sora knew nothing was fine. It was just something he didn't want to talk about. Vincent must have understood this, for he shifted the subject.
I thought you might want to know that the souls return to their bodies. The coma patients are awake and out of the hospital.
Oh, yeah, that's good news. Thanks for telling me.
Silence fell between them once again, so Vincent was forced to ask the question he was hoping to avoid.
So, what will you do?
I'm not sure. Whatever is going on, whatever is going to happen whether I want it or not. So there's no point in running from it. I'll just have to face it. Whenever it comes my way, I'll have to face it head on. Maybe. Just maybe. I might be able to do some good before my time is up. Look, Vincent? What's going on?
Vincent's head had turned to the window of the clock tower. He seemed to be listening for something.
I hear sirens. It sounds like there is a chase going on. It's going to pass the tower in a few minutes.
Sora stood up, grabbing his jacket and the chain that was on the floor next to him.
Well, I guess I better go introduce this guy to my better half.
Sora began to walk to the door when Vincent spoke again.
Sora, are you okay?
Sora stopped for a moment, not turning around to face him.
I was so sure of who I was. Before all this happened, I thought I had finally found where I belonged. I was so confident in who I was, but now I don't know who I am anymore.
I know who you are.
Yeah, I know. The Ghost Rider, right?
No, you are Sora Shimomura. Nothing more and nothing less.
Sora turned his head over to Vincent and gave a weak smile. He then turned around and began his descent down the clock tower. Vincent just stared at the spot where he left and closed his eyes.
Sora, redemption is not simply destroying enemies and saving lives. It's far more complex than that. Redemption is facing the future with a brave heart. Frightened maybe, but brave. It's about going through every day, knowing what tomorrow will bring. But rather than hide in the shadows, you go out into the bright sun. Never fear tomorrow, Sora. Don't be ashamed of your past. Do what you can today. And remember, even if no one ever finds out who you are, finds the good in you that protects this city from this rising darkness. Even if the people love Ghost Rider, but still hate you, know that everyone you protect is another life that continues on. Another person will love, be merry, and do great things, all because you stepped in and you saved them. Whether it just be their body or their spirit. Always remember what you do does make a difference, even if no one ever sees it. And that, Sora, is the path to redemption.
It starts with one thing, I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind, I designed this rhyme to explain in due time. All I know, time is a valuable thing. Watch it fly by as the pendulum swings. Watch it count down to the end of the day. The clock takes life away, it's so unreal. Didn't look out below, watch the time go right out the window. Trying to hold on, didn't even know I wasted it all just to watch you go. I kept everything inside, and even though I tried, it all fell apart. What it meant to be will eventually be a memory of a time I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. One thing, I don't know why, it doesn't even matter how hard you designed this rhyme to remind myself how I tried so hard. In spite of the way you were mocking me, acting like I was part of your property, remembering all the times you fought with me, I'm surprised it got so. Things aren't the way they were before. You wouldn't even recognize me anymore. Not that you knew me back then, but it all comes back to me in the end. You kept everything inside, and even though I tried, it all fell apart. What it meant to me will eventually be a memory of a time when I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I've put my trust in you, pushed as far as I can go. For all this, there's only one thing you should know.
How could I have been so blind? So ignorant of the truth? Was I so desperate to finding some place I belong that I ignored what should have been obvious cruelty? Or perhaps maybe somewhere I knew it was cruel. I just didn't want to question it. All I knew is on that day, when I was seemingly rejected, I felt
a rage that I never felt before. A heart that was broken that never even had a chance to express itself. I never felt so humiliated and so alone. I just really wanted her to notice me, to see me. I may have been 14 and not quite there in liking girls, but she was always something. The moment I saw her, I just needed to be around her. The irony is that now that I'm the ghostwriter, I'm around her a lot, but she can't see me for me.
She only sees the side of me that has been buried and dead for 2 years. He's coming back, though, slowly. He's stepping out of the darkness and coming back to the light. It's a bit hard to explain. It's like I've been asleep for so long. My body working on autopilot, just going through the motions Cypher taught me to do. If only I was strong enough to realize my mistake.
I've never been so alone.
But I have never been so awake.